You lot, raise your glasses. This one's for Paul, Phil, and the Paranormal Soul Brother. Paul's got a torch and a tradies belt. Swears that he felt a cold hand on his bum. Phil's in the kitchen with a GoPro helmet, shouting, "Come at me, spirit, you cowardly scum!" Soul Brothers burning the bargain bin sage, reading vibes like a busted old gauge. Ghost wankers, ghost wankers, three brave idiots and a busted van. Ghost wankers, ghost wankers, chasing bad vibes round the caravan. If your house feels weird and your dog won't stay, they'll rock up drunk and scare it away. Ghost wankers, ghost wankers, best worst hunters in the whole damn land. Oh, yeah. They rocked up late to a country pub. Owner said, "Lady, there's a spook in the dunny."
Yes.
Tonight, we have Gloria Ramos and we have Yvonne. And I want to find out, when did they learn that they were empaths? But before that, we have a guest panelist, Stephen Ward. And I want to know what is new happening at the Mothman Museum where he works at.
Well, Jeff Walmsley is the man that established the museum, and he was 5 and 6 years old when all this stuff happened in West Virginia in the middle '60s. 5 years old when the Mothman sighting started. 6 years old when the bridge collapsed, and he even heard it from his basement. He was a young kid playing with his toys in the basement way up on 30th Street, and he heard the crash of the bridge. So over the years, he became more and more interested, and he developed the Mothman Museum. Even though we've had some, it's warming up now, but we've had some awful weather down there. But still, you'll get big waves of people that come into the museum. The museum is fantastic. It has all kinds of displays, photographs. It has the articles that covered the bridge collapse and when they were, it's gruesome, but when they were finding the bodies and pulling the cars out, all that history is there. You can learn about the Men in Black, the original sightings of the Mothman, and so it's pretty routine. It's just that people keep coming, and they're still fascinated by the Mothman. I think interest triggered about 20 years ago with the advent of the film with Richard Gere and Laura Linney. So it's kind of business as usual, but it's never boring. It's just great to greet people and talk to them and answer their questions.
I don't know what the Mothman is.
I'm sorry?
I don't know what the Mothman is.
You don't know what the Mothman is? Oh my God! Get the moth.
Lightning strike me down.
Okay,
now.
I'm out of here, Paul. She doesn't know about the Mothman.
Oh, man. Who hasn't heard about the Mothman?
Well, there's many documentaries out there, but there's the book, The Mothman Prophecies by John Keel, and there's been many other books on the Mothman. It was a winged. Like a winged humanoid that showed up in the middle '60s around Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and the Ohio Valley. It chased two couples out of what they call the TNT area, where it's an old abandoned, was where they used to make explosives for World War II. It's the McClintock Wildlife Area now, but this thing chased cars. It had red glowing eyes, about 6-7 foot tall. And it didn't really hurt anybody, but it did scare the hell out of many people.
And Gloria, they even made a movie about Mothman with Richard Gere. And also, too, if you Google Sacramento Mothman, you can see that the Mothman has been in Sacramento, California.
He was on vacation, apparently.
Yeah.
Paul, it's your fault that I don't know about Mothman, okay? I've known you for 20-something years? And you never once did tell me about Mothman.
So it's Paul's fault? I'm not coming on his show anymore.
Not only that, Mothman was in the newspapers because History Channel came down here and did Monster Quest about the Mothman. But anyway,
We lost you. We lost.
Well, we lost your face, but
There
we can
you
hear
go.
you.
There we go.
okay, cool.
Ah, what are you
there
doing,
we go.
Mothman?
Oh, jeez.
What's that?
Okay, so anyway, I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves, so because that way Yvonne knows who she's talking to. So with me,
Okay.
okay, my name is Paul Dale Roberts. I'm an author. I have several books out there. I write for 6 paranormal magazines. I've been on a lot of documentaries. So that's who I am. Phil, who are you?
I'm Phil DeSaro. I have 2 documentaries that have been on PBS nationally. I have 2 books out. I'm a Marine veteran, 30 plus 35 years now in IT, and I do a podcast now with Paul Dale Roberts.
Right on, right on. And Paranormal Soul Brother, who are you?
I'm investigator from the Bay Area. Went to Cal Berkeley. Loved the paranormal, and I actually was an actor when I was younger on WKRP in Cincinnati. But now I'm just trying to get my kicks off with Paul.
Right
Thank you
on,
very
right
much.
on. And Gloria and Yvonne, now we turn it over to you guys. When did you learn that you were empaths?
Okay. We're going to start with the empath. Actually, can you hand me this book? No, this one. I was watching something, and then this woman, this Dr. Judith Orloff, this is about years ago, and she was talking about her book, and then my brain just kept firing up like, oh my God, that's who I am all this time. I didn't know. I didn't know what an empath was, you know? So ever since then, I've been on a journey to learn more about being an empath and what that is, and, you know, how it affects my whole life. I've learned about energy. I've learned about psychic healing through Reiki. And it just snowballed into a lot of things. And actually, Yvonne here, she said, I didn't know I was an empath until you told me. Okay. And it was all about that book. And for some of you, I don't know how Phil and everybody else, what they know about an empath is a highly sensitive human being, person. We just don't feel compassion, but we actually physically feel what other people feel. And we can read energy. For example, we can walk into a room and know it's hostile, it's friendly. You know, we just feel. And there's different different types of, that's one part of it. It's also part of it is the psychic thing. You're clairvoyant, you're, you know, clairaudient. What's the other word? Somatic, which means you feel, you don't feel, you feel the emotions physically, as if, you know, if somebody got electrocuted, you, and you're there, you would actually feel it physically. So there's many layers that we'll tell you stories about. I guess it started when I was young. I know I was different, but I didn't know what it was, and I was always afraid of it. But now I've sort of, I told you at the last podcast, Paul, I'm so proud of myself. I've started to embrace that, be afraid of it, you know, because we're raised to be afraid of ghosts, visions, to be afraid of paranormal things because people don't understand it. I'm still kind of scared, but now I'm a little bit more open to it. Yvonne is clairvoyant. She has a little man that walks up and down the ramp, because clairvoyant just means you see things like out of the corner of your eye. You see something there, but it's not there. You know, our peripheral vision is all part of that clairvoyance. You know, most people think clairvoyance is someone who has a crystal ball and predicts the future. But it's more than that. Clairvoyance is more seeing things that maybe people pay attention to you. I don't know how to Yvonne talk. Um, my journey started because I had a mother that was so clairvoyant. She lost a lot of friends behind that.
2%.
And was on the verge of losing her marriage because of that. Because my mom would tell my dad what she seen or what she had a dream about or whatever. So I was raised around that quite a bit. And I was much younger, didn't understand it. Had an older sister that was very clairvoyant, like my mother, but she was afraid of it. And she, being raised Catholic, and then we left the Catholic Church, my mother said, if you're that afraid of it, why don't you pray and ask God or the spirits of this world to take it away from you? And my sister prayed for months. And then she didn't have it anymore because she was so afraid of it. And I really didn't come into mind until I hit my 30s, 40s, because I was never afraid of it. That's why I think the little man that walks up and down my ramp comes to visit me. He doesn't talk to me, but he comes up. I go open the door because I ask him to come in. He doesn't come in. He just comes to the door. And I have things like that. Like I can walk the door and Gloria knows this. Okay, I'm leaving. I'm going, because just that intuition. Yes. What a hot it is. Nobody has to say anything to me. And I'm sure you guys have had to have some of those kind of feelings also, because you're doing something that interests you and that you're drawn to. And I think when that happens, you become more perceptive of what's around you. And I believe it is a gift. Everyone doesn't use it as a gift, but I believe it is given to us as a gift. I was telling Yvonne, I see things and I don't want to talk about it because, well, thank you, Paul, for giving me this platform to talk about it, because it's kind of difficult to talk about it because most people just think you're weird. For example, when we went, my friend and I took a trip to Sedona, and you know what Sedona is, right? It's a vortex where two energy fields. We have no voice. Oh, we have no voice. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. You have no audio.
Oh,
thanks.
Yeah,
I have myself on
Okay.
mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I was stationed at Fort Waukesha.
huh?
I was stationed at Fort
Were you
Waukesha.
stationed there?
Arizona. Yeah, and I visited
Okay.
Sedona.
And you know the twisted trees.
Yes.
You know about the twisted trees. Okay. So my friend Maria and I went there. And as soon as we approached Sedona, there was just an air shift. I can't even explain it. And I was telling Yvonne, well, nobody's going to believe this, but the mesas, they weren't mesas anymore. They were sphinxes, like the Sphinx in Egypt. And they were nodding to me like, welcome home. You belong here. And I was just like really freaked out about this, because who is going to believe that this is what I'm seeing? But that is what I saw. And
I would believe you. A lot of people don't know about like what Africans and what the real history of the Sphinx was before the Romans and the Greeks came. So the fact that you saw the Sphinx is really significant, because that is the embodiment of Christ, the Christ spirit. Because as far as the African is concerned, Christ came before Jesus. Yes, Yeshua is what they call him. But the Africans always before the mother god Mara had the son Sun Ra, and the physical manifestation of Sun Ra, the sun, because they don't just worship. People think the Africans worship the sun, but the sun is the embodiment of that spirit, that loving spirit of life and spirit that you're talking about, that you probably got touched with. That was profound. But a lot of people don't know that the Sphinx is the physical embodiment of Christ, of the how would you say it? Because Christ came, Harake, that came before Jesus.
Christos.
When the Romans got there, it was already there. Christos is already there. But anyway, so the fact that you saw the
just
Sphinx,
gave me
that is very.
goosebumps.
Huh?
You just gave me
Yes.
goosebumps because I had no idea about what you just told me. All I know is what I was seeing. I was like blinking my eyes, looking sideways, and they were still there. And they were so welcoming, so accepting. And,
Wow.
you know, it was very surreal being there. I just felt like it felt like home. And, well, I just have these weird kind of experiences like that. Like I was telling Yvonne, when I was about 6 or 7, I was staring into a mirror. And then all of a sudden, I saw myself from above staring at myself in the mirror. And it's like, why am I looking at myself staring in a mirror? And what was a 7-year-old, 6-year-old staring in the mirror? But I did not know what that was, that it was an out of body experience. It didn't scare me, but it was a long time before I realized, oh, that was what it was. I've never done it since. I think you have to also be open and develop such skills. Like, I don't see auras, but I can read the room. I can walk into a place and say, oh, somebody died tragically here, even if I've never been there before. I just kind of do things like that, but most of the time I don't say anything because people will just think she's crazy. I guess she say these things. And Yvonne is one of the few people who don't think I'm crazy when I say such things like that. Like, I'll just look at her, she'll look at me, and she'll know what I'm thinking, or I'll know what she's thinking, especially when it comes to things like that. But we have been on this journey learning more about, being an empath and how it affects people around us. And recently, this is very interesting. This is really very recently. I picked up this book, Good Life of Water. Very interesting. But this author says that, you know how they take of snowflakes and they're all different? Snowflakes different. Well, this book says when you are near water, say you're angry, and they take pictures of the water, the water absorbs whatever thoughts and emotions you have. And I thought, wow, what a concept. Have you heard of that, Paul? Paul,
No.
hello.
Yeah, no.
I have. I have.
You have?
That's is that what's the name of that? Is that a doctor that wrote that?
Her name is Valerie Emoto.
Oh, Moto. Yeah.
And you've heard
There's
of this is
there's a great
Masaru
documentary.
Emoto.
Yeah, there's a great documentary out there about that and about string theory, which goes into that even deeper. It's called "What the Bleep Down the Rabbit Hole." Have you ever heard of it?
No,
I'm a documentary fanatic. That's why I got into making documentaries. I've probably watched millions of documentaries about anything and everything. And the one that covered the water was called "What the Bleep," BLEEP, and then "Down the Rabbit Hole." You can find it out there online.
I know about that.
Yeah,
I know about that, but I don't remember what that was about.
It's about string theory and about energy in the universe, and it goes into the water and the water experiments, and particularly in that book, and it actually interviews that author. So yeah, I'm
Really?
familiar with it. Yeah,
Wow.
it's fascinating.
I am in awe, Phil, that you know about this because I don't know anybody else who knows about this, and it's just really fascinating because they showed a picture here of after 9/11, and they took a picture of the water around there, and it was, the picture was just terrifying, and that because we don't realize that everything around us we affect by our thoughts and words, energy. Our energy affects everything. And a lot of people don't even, I try to explain what energy is and they don't get it.
It's like the butterfly.
But you're probably one of the few. Huh?
It's like the butterfly effect.
The butterfly?
Yeah.
Butterfly effect. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that at least from the movie, that's the theory that if you crush you go back in time to like the dinosaur era and kill a butterfly, potentially you could wipe out an entire species in the future sometime.
Oh, I didn't know about the butterfly.
Yeah,
That's from the Ray
am I
Bradbury
wrong?
story, right?
Yeah,
Sound of Thunder.
Exactly. This theory goes along with string theory. The energy and the water experiments go along with string theory and energy, basically saying it's basically about kind of like the power of positive thinking. You create your own reality. If you wake up in the morning and you say, you know what, I'm going to have a terrible day, guess what? You're already right. It's going to be terrible because you've already decided that it's going to be a terrible day. And if you wake up and say today's going to be great, no matter what happens, it's going to be great because you've already decided it. You're manifesting your own reality, and if you can harness that power, and no matter what comes your way, the most terrible things, you know what it is. It's that positivity and good energy attracts good energy. You go out there and you do good things and you're nice to people and you rescue animals or you donate money to positive causes or you just hang around good people. You will meet other good people. It positive attracts positive attracts positive, and it's that type of thing. If you're at the very basic level, I'm just scratching the surface of it. That book does a better job of exploring it. That documentary I mentioned goes way deeper into it. Like I said, I'm just scratching the surface, but it really is about changing your mindset. I know so many negative people out there, family members and friends that feel like the world is out to get them. And if you think that way, then you're right. The world is out to get you. But if you say no, the world is actually like your nephew actually said it best, Paul. I remember when we interviewed him, your nephew Michael. He said the world is constantly conspiring in my favor. I thought, wow, that's pretty a great way to look at life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. It's so funny because this podcast, I had originally placed our guest as Lael Robertson from Australia. And she has a new foundation. It's the Center of Paranormal Reporting. So if you had a paranormal experience, you report at her center. But her husband, a very negative type guy, was jealous that she was talking to me, Phil, and the Paranormal Soul Brother, and told her she couldn't do the podcast. I mean, and then I said, well, I'm not going to let that ruin things for me. Dampen my thing. I'll get somebody else. And then I got Rick Eddy, who was all excited, says, yeah, I'll be on your podcast and talk about 3 UFO experiences. Come to find out, he lives out in the woods and he has no reception, so he couldn't be on the show. I said, I'm not going to let that bring me down. And bam, I talked to Gloria. Gloria brings Yvonne, and I got Stephen Ward on here. So here we go. Everything turned positive because I kept a positive attitude.
Let me say this. Yes, you have to have energy, good energy to get through the day. But if your energy level is really, really high, there is no one that you're going to meet on the road that day that can interrupt that energy. They can't do it. I have a thing. This is just my thing. Don't know where it comes from, but I always talk to homeless people. I always do. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what they smell like. If I'm drawn to talk to them, I will. I talked to a young Hispanic guy yesterday. He's been out on the streets for a really long time. And he didn't remember me, but I remembered him. I go, what are you doing out here? Oh, well, and they go through this whole thing and blah, blah, blah. I said, you know what? I said, the sad part is you have so much to offer this world and you're sitting here doing nothing. He goes, but I don't want anything from you. And I told him, I said, but I have something I want to give to you. And you have have to get up off these streets, go do what you're, called to do, because you're not doing it now. He looked at me. Me and Gloria were shopping. I got in the car. I could not let it go. I got out of the truck. I went back and he says, I don't want your money. I said, I'm not going to give you any money. He goes, and I don't need anything to eat. I said, I'm not going to feed you. I said, but what you need is spirit. And that's what I'm going to give you. So don't forget this conversation. We just got in the truck and we left. So I don't care how down someone is. If your energy level is where it is and you are so positive, they cannot break that chain. They can't. They try. That's the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative. I don't think if you're doing the right thing for the right reasons at the right time, they're not going to mess with your energy level. I don't think so.
Sometimes it's okay. Basically, though, sometimes you're just not in the zone because you're busy doing stuff, and then you forget. It's sometimes difficult to maintain, that high frequency of being positive. You just kind of have to remind yourself, don't go down that road. That's negative. You know what I'm saying? Because you get busy doing.
You still believe in The Secret? Remember that book you used to promote? It was called The Secret. You do?
Yeah, it's about energy. It's about energy. It's about aligning your chakras. It's about being in the zone. And I'm saying
Of those three people who died in the sweat lodge.
Oh, you met them in a sweat lodge? What?
No, the ones that died in the sweat lodge, Paul's saying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
And Paul, I think you could take anything and run too far with it, or if it's put in the wrong hands, it can become dangerous. If you're an absolute moron, if you give a gun to a moron, he's going to hurt himself or someone else.
I know that analogy, Phil.
And it's just the way it is. But it really comes. It's almost the basic power of positive thinking. Or just choosing to say, you know what, I got one life to live. I'm not going to be miserable. I refuse to be miserable. It's too short. I got no time for this. Yeah, I will have days where I'm sad. I will have days where I miss the people that I love that I've lost, where I'm going to regret the opportunities that I've squandered, because everybody makes mistakes. But you know what? Thank God that I have tomorrow, or that I have today, or I have this moment. And that's enough to get me through to the next moment. And when my time comes, I'm going to face it like a human being, and then that'll be it. And you know what? I'll be grateful for the time I had. That's it. That's all I can give anybody.
It helps to also have people around you who are like-minded like that. Remember, I was talking last time about 12 lessons that I want to leave with my grandkids. And one of those bullet points is choose to be happy. Because, happiness is a choice. Choose to be happy. And another one you were talking about earlier is, life's going to give you shit. Shit always happens. But if you can't figure out what to do, change your perspective. Oh, gosh, yes. So if you're kind of here and, oh, shit, what am I going to do? I can't do this. I can't do that. Do a paradigm shift. And things will just look different. I don't know, but for me, that always works. Or the other thing is, when I can't make a decision about something, be of service to someone else. Get out of your head. So
I've always found it helps to be grateful for what you have.
Yes.
Sometimes it's so easy to just to forget where you're at, because right now you could be living someone else's dream. So somebody else is probably looking at you and saying, you know what, that person has everything. That person has what I want. That person's where I want to be, and meanwhile you're not satisfied. You want something else. You want to be somewhere else.
There are people who are always like that, never satisfied. No
That's a
matter
human
how much they
condition.
have.
I
Yeah.
think that's a human condition. We always want a little more, don't we?
Yes, and I think that's part of the growing process while we're here on this earth, because we don't know where we're going the next time out. But it's a learning process. I mean, no matter how small the learning is, it's a learning process. And we're to take that learning and share that with somebody else while they're on their journey. So it just starts to balloon. And that, I believe, is what changes people. There has to be that constant planting of seeds, in order for there to be a plant. Because if you have no seed, you have no plant. And there's so many people out here that they don't have seeds. So how can they have anything else to go on? They have nothing. They're on sale at Home Depot. The seeds. Hey, Paul, have I ever thanked you enough for being my friend for all these years? Because you've always been a positive, shot for me. Always, every time we interact, it's always something positive. And you know what? I cherish that. Not, there are people who come and go, but Paul's always going to be that positive person in my life. Thank you. And now I met Phil, and I met Mothman. So I got to find out more about now. Now I got to find out about Mothman.
I only come out as Mothman by night to punish evildoers. So I'm.
Where is this place?
He's a space ranger.
Oh.
I do have a question. As empaths, is it something you can turn off and on? I can't imagine what it might be like in a crowd of people where you've got all these different emotions and anger.
It's like, when I go to a mall and my kids tell me they're mall deprived, because when my kids were growing up, I very rarely ever took them to the mall, because it's like, when you're playing ping pong and you get hit by all these paintballs, that's how it feels like, because all these emotions from other people are just overwhelming you. So, I have learned to separate myself and ground myself. Also, like, one of my services is I will listen to people, friends, family, and let them talk. And then afterwards, I'm like a phone that ran out of battery. I'm just really drained. So I have to leave and ground myself, and I've learned how to do that. Because if you don't, it's overwhelming. Because like you said, you can't turn it off and on. No. It just is, and we didn't ask for this. And, I think everybody has this, but some people, they're more developed than others, Oh, Paul, you want me to tell you a story about my witchcraft?
Wait.
My mother called
me. Wait, hold on. Gloria, we have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
We have 3 minutes. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and you'll get a second link to finish up this interview. So
I know. You know what? I'm having so much fun with this, and all the people that I meet here. It's kind of like after the last podcast, I was going through withdrawal, like a drug addict.
Oh my God! Hey, listen. Also, too, we changed the name. We're now Ghost Wankers, and the reason why
Ghost.
Yeah, we
Ghost what? Wankers.
Yeah.
Seriously?
We were
okay, whatever.
We were the waiting room podcast, but we found out like 9 to 12 waiting rooms. So there's too many waiting rooms. Yeah. So we had to come up with an original name, and we're calling ourselves the Ghost Wankers.
Well, Wankers has a ring to it.
Huh?
It's an English insult or Australian insult, you wanker. Yeah. And it's one of Paul's favorite words. So,
and it's so funny is I think that lady from Australia because of the name Ghost Wankers, her husband got jealous.
Oh my God. Yeah.
He didn't want her in the
over
same
it.
room with 3 other wankers.
That's right. You gotta have a limit on the wankers. I've always said that.
Are we included in the wanker group now?
Tonight you're honorary wankers.
I love this. I just love this. Okay, so
And
let me.
It's funny that you were mentioning the Sphinx because I was a 97 Bravo intelligence analyst, and our barracks had a Sphinx outside of it. And they told us
Oh my God!
they
Ooh.
said the head had supreme intelligence, and the lion's body was physical power, and it was a keeper of secrets.
You just gave me goosebumps again because, I felt like this is all happening in my head. I can't possibly be seeing the Sphinx in those mesas. But now you've given me information about Sphinx and, the connection to Cristo. And now you're telling me about what the body and the head. Wow. Anyway, okay, I will tell you about this thing that my prompted my mother to call me the little witch because I will just tell you when we get back. My sister will testify to the veracity of this thing that I do that I'm not aware that I do, but I do it. So anyway, how many minutes do we have? So
We got less than a minute, so
29.
I
29.
want to see your dogs. I want to see your 6 dogs, Phil. Send me pictures.
okay, I will. I'll send you pictures of all of them.
I have to bug you about my ladies' lessons because I've not figured out where to put it, how to manipulate the images, and do all this. That's not my forte. Ever see? It's a Philippine brown moth. So, are we on?
We're on.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're on.
So you were telling us something, Gloria,
The moth.
and you wanted to tell us on the second.
I'm gonna tell you about the moth. We only see these big brown moths when somebody's dead in my family.
Really?
For example, when my dad died, one of his wakes, my grandmother's house, she has one of these old style villas in the Philippines, where you could play basketball in the living room because it's so huge. So anyway, there's a pillar and there's my father's coffin. Then there was 4 brown moths there. He had 3 brothers. He's the 4th brother. And they stayed there for 2 days. The moths did not leave. And then when it was time to bury him, the moths disappeared. So it's, I don't know if you call it a superstition. When I see a brown moth like that, because it means some family died. Anyway, okay, that's my mom's story.
Just a side note. Whatever the people were seeing back in the 60s really had nothing to do with a moth. It's
Oh,
just that
really?
the Batman TV show was popular at the time. So some creative copy editor, we don't know who it was, just dubbed him Mothman, and it's stuck ever since. But he's probably pretty angry. That's probably why he was chasing cars. He was being called a moth when he what didn't look anything like a moth.
He didn't look anything like a moth. What did he look like?
Almost like a giant owl. It was but it was 6-7 foot tall. It's like the head or whatever seemed to be kind of sunken down in his chest. That's where the red eyes were, and it had a 10-foot wingspan. There was a lot of things that were kind of presented a paradox. I mean, it really didn't have the wingspan to lift something that high. It didn't know that had that much weight. It didn't always flap its wings when it took off, and sometimes
Did it have wings?
Yes, it had 10-foot wings, 10-foot wingspan.
No, we're talking about the man.
But it didn't always flap them, and a lot of people.
Is this a real thing, or is just people
Many
embellish?
say yes.
I've spoken to several of the original witnesses. They really did experience something. But here's the thing: a lot of people that saw it had an outbreak of poltergeist phenomena when they got home. So how do you explain that? Some people had missing time, and so it was just. And some people saw it manifest like an apparition in their house.
What about the bridge collapse? How did they tie a bridge collapse to this thing?
Well, some people thought it was a harbinger. I don't know that it was. I think these things all happened at the same time. I don't believe it caused the bridge to collapse. It was the 13th eye bar that turned out to be defective, and it was built in 28. The traffic of the 60s was pretty heavy for it. People would talk about. I talked to the old timers that would pass over the bridge and how unsteady it was, and so it just went down like a deck of cards one night, just 30 to 40 seconds. It was, if you've seen the film with Richard Gere, he had all kinds of time to warn people off the bridge, but it didn't really happen that way.
And Stephen, wasn't it like 43 people that died on the Silver Bridge?
46 people. And if you go to Point Pleasant now and go to 6th Street, where the bridge used to go over to Ohio, you'll see a mural on the flood wall, a memorial, and the 46 names of the people that died are embedded on the sidewalk across the street.
And was Mothman first sighted at the TNT factory?
Well, actually, there was a sighting in Clendenin, West Virginia, about an hour and a half away, by some people that were digging a grave in a cemetery. Imagine seeing this thing when you're digging a grave. I think I would pick up a different profession real quick. And one of the guys that was the only survivor came some months ago, came and talked to Jeff Wansley about the experience. And that's going to be in Jeff's next book.
Wow. And also, too, what's so interesting is a lot of people are seeing Mothman after 9/11. Well, no, before 9/11, Chicago, Illinois, Sacramento, California, and Chernobyl.
You have to be careful with some of that. Some of that might be actually Richard Haddam, that wrote the screenplay, thinks that he might have actually created some of those ideas just as part of the script, and it became part of the narrative. So you just have to be, I mean, it could be, you just have to be very, as you know, in the realm of the paranormal, you have to be very careful in sifting through these things.
Yeah.
Actually, okay. I'm gonna tell you about this thing. It's spelled USOG, usog. And to Filipinos, this is a common thing that they will talk about. How do I explain this? I'll just give you an example. My sister and my mom. My sister came into the bathroom to tell me, we're leaving, we're going to the salon, get our nails done. And I'm in the shower thinking, oh, nice. I'm going to a party and you're going to the salon. Well, guess what? When they were at the salon, my sister gets diarrhea, wants to vomit, cold sweats. And that is usog. I did that to her. Although I don't knowingly do it, but all it takes for her to get over it is I have to let her, my mom hunted me down. She didn't even know where I was going, but she hunted me down, made me take a cab home. Because I know this sounds disgusting. She brought my sister home, took my dirty clothes and rubbed it on my sister, and then she was well again. So I have done this. Yeah, okay. But, if you ask any Filipino if they know what usog is, they would tell you, puera usog. Like, don't do that to me. Don't make me feel sick. Because I've done it to babies unwittingly, like a baby who's cute and doesn't want to come to me, and then all of a sudden get sick because I felt bad because the baby wouldn't come to me. It's usually when I feel bad about something and I don't say anything about it. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do it to people who piss me off, but I see my sister is very susceptible, and I think because my energy is stronger than hers, although I don't do it. I do it by accident. I don't do it purposefully. And then one time it was our houseboy, and I told him to dig a hole because I wanted to plant something, and he didn't do it. Then all of a sudden my neighbor was like calling my mom and telling her something's wrong with the houseboy. He's throwing up and he's having diarrhea and hot and cold sweats. And then my mother started calling me. She says, come over here. I know what you did, but I don't purposely do it. So I wish I could learn how it is that I do that. But anyway, that's, you could ask any Filipino and they will tell you that it's a real thing.
How do you
And that's why
spell
my
that
mother
again?
calls me the little, huh?
How do you spell that again?
USOG, usog.
USOG.
USOG, usog, usog. And, I don't know how that happens. I wish I did know, but all I can think about is my mental energy is stronger than some people. So that's how and it always happens when I feel bad, when you hurt my feelings and I don't say anything about it. So, so be careful not to hurt my feelings, Phil.
I'll
And
do
if
my
you,
best.
So Gloria, Gloria, do you have any knowledge about the Filipino martial arts, the Eskrima,
I
stick
don't.
fighting?
Why?
Oh, okay.
Why?
Oh no, the reason why, because I grew up in the Bay Area near Daddy City,
Oh
so
yeah. Okay.
it's a big Filipino population. I have a martial arts teacher. I used to have one. He taught me Escabodan, and it's Eskrima, Khalif Arnis, and boxing. But his teacher was a famous Filipino martial artist named Angel Cavales, and they did death matches. These guys survived death matches, but they have a really good art. And although they talk about jujitsu and a lot of these other martial arts, this Filipino master, they would come in and ask him for all the reversals to all the other different martial arts. Different teachers would come in and get tips and pointers from him. But I thought that that the Filipino martial arts was very I guess undiscovered, I should say.
Yes, that's very true. Because everybody's into kung fu, jiu-jitsu, karate,
Right.
And all that. But
Yeah.
Filipinos have arnis, which is kind of unique in itself. It uses, the long bamboo things.
Yes.
It's more like a scrimmage thing. Yeah. But you
And
know
Eskrima,
what?
yeah.
In all those, how energy plays into that as well.
Yes.
Hey, oh my God, I love that dog. Oh, hello, puppy. Oh my God. That's what Bruno looks like because I got him groomed about a week ago. Anyway, you know how Luke Skywalker has that lightsaber? And how does he power it?
Right. With the force, his force. Yeah.
The force is energy. People don't realize that when you talk about energy, a good example is how does Luke Skywalker power that sword? Through his, his energy, his mind.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes.
So it wasn't Rayovac, huh?
Steve!
Who said that? Who said that?
You're
hella
not
funny.
me. I wouldn't say anything so stupid.
My Mothman brother said that.
It was Mothman. Oh, I knew it. He has some hidden agenda we don't know about, this Mothman. Now I'm gonna not stop thinking about this. Now I'm gonna have to Google Mothman since you put it. Paul, you texted me last night about 11:30. I was just dropping off to sleep, and then you start texting me, and I'm like, am I gonna do this? I'm like, do I have anything to say? You're out again. The meeting is being recorded, but I hear no audio. There you go. Are you trying to be naked under there? What are you doing?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Gloria,
Sorry.
Gloria, it sounds like you have some really interesting paranormal experiences. Can you talk more about your UFO experiences?
My UFO? I don't have UFO. The only UFO I know about is my friend Kathy, who passed away 2 years ago. Here in Elk Grove, they had a ranch at Wilton, and she and her daughter were driving on one of those country roads like Bradshaw or Grant Line Road.
Right. Bradshaw, yes, it's creepy, yeah.
Yes, it is very, very. Yes.
I've seen stuff over there. Bradshaw, yeah. It's so she saw something.
She and her daughter did,
Okay.
And I'm talking about
Yeah.
a school teacher, very
Yeah.
succinct and no nonsense. But they saw it; it was hovering over them for a few miles, and
I believe
so they stopped and they got out of the car and just looked up at it, and they just hovered there until they got back in the car, and then it just upped and moved. So I'm thinking, yeah, I know. I wish I could have seen it.
Wow.
Would love to have seen that.
Can you imagine what information they got from them just from hovering? Because they don't have to,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
It
they
happens
don't
in
have
light.
to come
It happens
down
at the
and
speed
talk
of
to
light.
you. It does. It does. Just, but I've always said, you know what? I don't think I would be afraid of them. Actually, if I knew they were going to bring me back, take me.
Right,
Go
right,
do what
right.
you need to
I
do,
mean,
but bring me back.
Yeah, the only
Do you
thing is,
think I
though,
would ask
if
for
you're
permission?
if you're taken by aliens, they might probe you. So you got to watch out.
that's probably a given. That's probably
I
a
don't
given.
care. You know what? I am a female of age. You know how many times I've been probed by a doctor?
And that probing is no extra charge too. So
I'm sure they got
Yvonne's
better
keeping it
tools too.
real.
They got better tools. They got better tools too. They're not the same as us.
I do have some questions for you ladies about
Yvonne
being
does not mind being probed.
Okay,
Yvonne sounds like a fun date.
Probe it up. Let's probe. Let's probe.
Oh,
Stephen
who
asked-
said you're a fun day?
Stephen wants
Who
to
said
ask the
that?
ladies.
Man.
Stephen, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. I just wondered now when you are picking up, I don't know what you want to call it, vibrations or whatever from people, it's more emotion than thought. Is that correct? Or are you?
Just curious. You know what? I read. How do I explain this, Yvonne? For example,
Her and I, they're different for both of us. It's different for both of us.
okay,
Okay.
I can be walking. Like, let's say I'm walking into a store and I'll look over and I'll see two people, and I'll say to my son or daughter, "Those people are fighting. They're going to get divorced." And my son or my daughter will look at me like, "What?" Well, how do you know that? I just feel it. I feel whatever they're in. I feel their conflict. That's what being an empath is. I don't just notice it. I actually feel it. If you're
But you're not
Morning.
picking up like thoughts like "I hate your guts" and I'm going to dump
I
you
can
or
feel
something
it.
like that.
I can feel it. Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
I was telling you, but I don't think my book club people like me very much. I can just, it's just emanating from them, the negativity. I don't have to read their thoughts.
How close
I
do you
just
have to
know.
be? How
Not
close do you have to
even
be
close.
to somebody? To
I'm not even close. I can pick up stuff. Like, for example, my friend texts me from Canada. Even if she just said some usual words, I can pick up, oh, she's not doing too well. Just even if it's just a text message or something, I can pick up long distance. The same as, I do Reiki. I'm assuming that all of you know what Reiki is.
Yeah.
Right.
You do? You do?
Mhm.
Everybody knows what
Yes.
Yeah,
Reiki
we know
is?
what Reiki is.
Energy healing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've interviewed Reiki masters before.
Okay. Well, I'm a level
Plenty
2
of
Reiki master. So, I Reiki'd some people, some friends of mine. One was in Florida and one was in Canada. And I just felt really drained. And it wasn't even a long session. Let's say like 10 minutes. I just did it 10 minutes. But I felt all their pain for 10 minutes. And it was devastating, kind of. Yeah, I can read it's like reading between the lines. You can tell me something and I'll know right away you're lying to me.
Yeah. Oh,
Or
yeah.
you're lying
When you're,
to yourself.
yeah. When you're an empath,
Mhm.
also, Gloria, is it hard for you for me, at being an empath or feeling what other people feel? It's hard to be a good parent because
Why?
because for me, like if I put my kids in a certain situation, I know that, I have to really force myself to be the parent because like feeling their pain or what they're going through, that registers to me more than the responsibility. But of course, as a parent, I do take the responsibility road, but just feeling other people's pain. I mean, even if I see, I mean, when I pass, like if I catch a bus or I pass people, I could look at a person. I'm like, wow, I probably want to talk to that person and find out a little bit more about them. Or if a
Yeah.
person goes by and say, hey, I like your hat, man. That's the
Yeah.
person that I know that I could sit there and talk to him and I feel something.
Yep.
I mean, I could be his best friend right away.
Yes.
But
yes.
My children accuse me of this all the time. They can't take me anywhere
Yeah.
because people are drawn to me. They
Yes.
start talking to me,
Yeah.
and they
and you get,
start telling me the deepest, darkest secrets. And my
okay.
children are like, "You know that person?" No, I don't. Why was that person?
Hey,
talking
let's
to you?
hear some of that.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's hear some of
Huh?
that, huh? Let's hear some
Yeah,
of those
they
dark
do.
secrets.
They do. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So my children were like, don't start talking to anybody. Every time we go out, don't start talking to anybody. That one too. She'll be
Yeah.
there in the parking lot for 40 minutes talking the
Oh yeah.
parking lot of DMV, talking to somebody she just met. Like that's their best friend. Because I've accepted that people are drawn to my whatever it is.
Well, see, people are drawn to her. I'm drawn to the people.
Wow.
I'm drawn
Wow,
to the
okay.
people. Same thing, just at a different level.
Wow.
It's like the homeless guy I was telling you about, the guy that has the white dog.
Yeah.
I see him all the
Yes.
time. And I told him, I said, I hate very nice man. Oh my God. He must be maybe 35 or 40, but he looks older than that.
Yeah.
Because I asked him, I said, you shouldn't be out in these streets. He goes, let me tell you my story. I said, you don't have to tell me your story. He says, well, I'm asking you for money. And I said, and I'm going to give it to you. I said, but I'll tell you this. If you take this money that I give you and you buy alcohol or you buy drugs instead of buying dog food for your dog and for yourself, I said, I will never give you another dime. He looked at me, he goes, I believe you. I said, you better believe me. You better believe me because I gave it to him, but he told me the whole story of how he ended up in the street. I didn't ask him. He just, maybe at that day, he just needed somebody to, dump on. And it was like, okay, so you can dump on me. But don't you know, when I got in that car, it was like, okay, I need to go home. I need to have a cup of coffee and just chill out. Because he totally drained me.
Trained you.
I get that.
But you know what? What a joy that is, because
joy.
it is a joy because it's a gift that has been given me. I have been in caregiving my whole life.
Wow.
From high school, then I went to school, became a nurse, retired 3 years ago. So I've always been in that role. And I always thought, I wonder why I never heard of an empath before until I met Gloria. She goes, I think you're an empath. I said, oh, didn't know what it was. Oh, really? Oh, really? And then I had to start asking her. She gave me her book to read, and she says, you can keep it for as long as you want. And I said, no, I can't do that. I'm going to buy my own. And I bought my own and read that, passed it on to my nephew, who is an empath. I'll tell you about him in a minute. It runs in it's in our family.
You think this is genetic?
I don't know if it's genetic or not, but my nephew just turned 53. When he was a very young kid, when he was able to talk, he was 4 maybe, and he told his mom and my mother, my mother, his grandmother, that he lived in another life. He was Italian. He was a race car driver. He knew the town where he lived. He had a wife and 3 kids, and he died in a car accident. So, of course, my sister is like, my mother told us, she goes, you better believe what that boy is telling you. So we went to a map and went into Italy, and sure enough, the town that he told us was right there. It was right there. he was 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old. So it's not like he
Amazing.
picked up a book and read it, you know. And he just made 53. And at this, he can tell you that same story, that same town, what happened to him. And he,
Wow.
so I don't know. It's just so interesting.
That's
How-
incredible.
What? You know, we live I'm sure you've had past lives. I think everybody has had a past life. You just, you know, don't consciously dwell on it. I know I was a man at one point. I was English and a doctor.
I know I was
I
a
don't know
doctor
how
at
I
one
know.
time,
Yeah.
but I don't get into that realm of things because you know what? I'm moving forward. I don't want to move backwards. So my whole thing is move forward, enjoy my life as whatever comes to me, and it's a blessing. But I also have to remember that because sometimes I don't always remember that.
Well, you know what? I must have been somebody really bad in the past life with the plumbing issues I've had this week. It's my karma catching up with me.
Let me send you some good energy, friend.
Oh, good. I can feel it. I can feel it. Which
No.
actually brings up another question.
Okay.
When you see, I don't know, people in the news, bad guys, good guys, or whatever, can you focus on people at a distance that you've never met, and pick up? I don't want to say vibrations, but pick up impressions. You
Yes.
can. So
Yes.
you could get. Have you ever solved a crime? If there's a bad guy out there being
Ever solved
accused
a
of something,
crime?
have you ever figured out? Oh, this person is guilty or not guilty?
Yes, now I have done that.
Okay.
I have done that.
I mean, there have been
not
some
very
pretty high profile cases out there that I'm just curious if you
Yeah,
guys
well-
ever really kind of focus on something that's objectively true about it.
I did. Do you remember the case of Karen Reed in Massachusetts? The police department accused her of killing her boyfriend.
I don't
This
think I
is
remember that.
recently.
Yeah, she killed her policeman boyfriend.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And they went through all of this, and I watched that not from the very, very beginning because it started in 2022.
Okay.
But I started watching that, and I kept saying, this poor woman. And, you know, everybody kept saying, well, you know, the state police and the police department and all of these people coming in were saying the same exact thing. And I said, you know what? But they're all lying. They were all lying. So the case went on. This went on for 3 years. So she just, at the end of last year, second trial, because they didn't find her guilty of the first one. So she had to come back and do a second trial. And it took all those years for the new jury that came in and said, there's no way this woman could have killed her boyfriend driving. She was supposedly so drunk that they couldn't figure out how she was driving the car to begin with. And for her to back up and go drunk now 24 miles an hour and hit him, there were no broken bones, no bruises. But even before all that, I said,
But even before that, you had a very clear impression
Yeah.
that
Oh,
these
yeah.
people were lying and that she was innocent.
yes. And that's why I watched it through the whole thing. That's exactly why I watched it, because I said, this lady is innocent. And the police department of this is Massachusetts and the State Department and the prosecutors, they were all family members, you know, because that's a very heavy Irish community, and they were all friends or family or whatever. And I said, you know what? I said, she's innocent. She is absolutely innocent. And you know what? It prevailed. It took her 3 years to get through that whole operation, but the second trial, they finally set her free and said that she was not guilty.
Okay,
And
one
so
more question.
now, go ahead.
Go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, and now because of what's gone on and the money that she had to spend, because she did go to jail and for a very short time, she is suing now the police department, the State Department, and the boyfriend's family. So we'll see how that's going to go. See, if it was me, I wouldn't have sued them. I would have just let them cook in their own gravy.
It's doesn't sound very tasty, I'll tell you that. Okay.
What
Another
was your
question. We have this Guthrie case out there. I'm not asking for any
Yes,
specifics
yes.
at all.
Yes,
But,
yes.
but do you guys have impressions about what has really happened there?
She's dead.
Without what's that?
She's dead.
Oh, yeah.
I think most of us believe that, but I mean, do you have any impressions about motive or anything like that? And again, maybe something you don't want to give specifics about since it's an open case, but I'm just curious if you have,
It's personal.
Okay.
It's personal.
I haven't gotten anything as of yet.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all the thought that I had when I caught it the first time. I said, "This is personal." It's not. It's personal. There's
There's a story.
There's a story. It's a big
Okay.
story behind
That's
that.
I'm just
That's
I'm just
the
curious because
Yeah.
I part of me wishes I had that ability because I want to know things. Just like I wish I could be able to successively remote view things to find out information. But on the other hand,
No, you don't. I know things I don't want to know. A lot of times it's harder to turn off actually, because sometimes when a friend, hardest thing about being an empath is saying no, because a friend will bend my ear and then afterwards I'm like so discombobulated. It takes me whatever I have to do to
well, I'm
Power
safe
down.
because
Huh?
I'm about as psychic as tofu, so I'm clear.
That's what you think.
That's what you think. Remember when we were talking about
You
water?
here.
Yes.
How you affect, the water droplets
Yes.
with your feelings and thoughts. Just think about that. You
Mhm.
affect a lot of things around you, but it's not always easy to be on top of it and be like 100% positive because sometimes our brain goes somewhere else and then we forget that we have to keep this high vibe going. So you may think there's not one bit of tofu in you, but you're affecting water.
Maybe that explains my plumbing problems.
Are you talking about your
Yeah.
personal plumbing or your toilet plumbing?
I think
Yeah.
Gloria.
Oh well, I'm just
I say baby.
point of clarification. I don't know. Maybe he has personal plumbing problems.
Did you ladies happen to hear, or was it before you got on, how many cats Stephen has rescued?
How many cats have you rescued, Stephen?
5.
Stephen
So
is
you have
about
five
as
Started with 2, but I've got 5 rescues.
Stephen is about as
Well-
about as empathetic as you can get. So
I am a sucker.
Yeah.
We live in a little village, and there's a lot of people here who feed feral cats, and it's a problem because of feral cats. Some people are not good about putting the food inside at night, so we get other critters, like
Oh,
skunks and things.
Yeah.
So, huh?
I was feeding a stray cat on the porch. I got a skunk, raccoons, possums. Man, it was
Possum.
Animal Farm.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I feed the feral cats, the opossums, the raccoons, and the squirrels. So I leave food out there for them all the time.
Well, they didn't want us to do that. It was like, oh, if you're going to feed them in the morning and pick the food up and blah, 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 blah. It's like, you know what? I buy the food and it's on my property. So how can you tell me when to feed them and when not to feed them?
Exactly.
And not only
Exactly.
that, in the morning time, all the food is gone. There is nothing to clean up.
That's
Well,
right.
I don't feed at night. I feed in the morning because I know people around me. There's a lady that lives behind me and she feeds every other day. I feed every day. And then there's the lady, so I have 3 feral cats. They sleep in my car. I have made beds for them to sleep in when it rains, and I have 4 dogs. So, and I have a blue and gold macaw.
And she has one of those
Guinea pigs.
guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're just a bunch of
Nasty.
sentimental saps.
Before I left Sacramento, I had like 25 cats spayed and neutered.
20.
through the
Yeah,
city of
that's what we.
Sacramento's
Yeah,
program.
Ours are spayed. Yeah.
yeah, we do that, but now the lady that used to help us do that, she's not doing that anymore.
Died.
She died. I didn't know she died.
The lady that used to do our newsletter.
No. The ones that would take the feral cats to the SPCA.
That's her.
No, there's somebody else. She doesn't live in our village.
Oh, well, the lady that lived in the village, she passed away. She would catch them in traps, take them to FPCA, and they clip their ear, and then you have to take them back to where you capture.
Where you caught them. Exactly.
So there's so many people in here. There's a lady that lives cat a corner behind me, and she was poisoning the cats.
Oh,
This is Susan's neighbor. She was poisoning the cat.
there's another one that shoots the cat.
Yes, there's a man, he's 2 blocks up from us, and he has a BB gun, and he's shooting the cats. And, I'm just going to be a human. I'm not. That's exactly what I said.
What, shoot him?
Shoot him. Or go spray him with some wasp spray. He'll stop shooting those
I'm going to
cats.
stick Mothman on him. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
I will. As soon as I don my moth mask and my cape, I'll go out and punish him.
You have to send me a picture of Mothman. Now I'm fascinated with Mothman.
Oh, well, heck, he's the thing is, there's a million different artist renditions of Mothman. There's a Mothman statue right in Point Pleasant, and it's very stylized.
Point Pleasant.
Ghost wankers, ghost wankers, 3 brave idiots and a busted van. Ghost wankers, chasing bad vibes round the caravan. If your house feels weird and your dog won't stay, they'll rock up drunk or scare it away. Ghost wankers, best worst hunters in the whole damn land. Oh, yeah. They rocked up late to a country pub. Owner said, "Lady, there's a spook in the dunny." Paul kicked the door, got hit with the smell. Yelled, "If that's a ghost, it's eating something funny." Bill set a trap with a bowl of chips. Soul brother blessed it with half his sips. Ghost wankers, 3 brave idiots and a busted van. Ghost wankers, chasing bad vibes round the caravan. If the lights go out and your chairs all slide, they'll blame it on energy and your cheap white wine. Ghost wankers, best worst for the whole damn land. Just claps and stomps. Paul yells, "War!" Phil yells, "War!" Soul lovers dancing, making contact with the sky. Woo! Was it a demon? Was it your mate, Frank? Turns out the phantom was a coat on a hook and a busted plate.